Top 5 Best Fights of 2024 in the UFC according to Stats Fight. The year 2024 has presented many spectacular fights for fans of mixed martial arts. It was a difficult task to select the 5 most interesting and vibrant fights from the largest promotion in the world. However, we tried to make our rating look objective. So, we present you the top 5 fights in the UFC for the past year according to the Stats Fight team. 5th place, Nikitbek Oral by Mateusz Rebecki UFC 308. The fight between Kyrgyz representative Nikitbek Oral by and Pole Mateusz Rebecki, which took place on October 26 in Abu Dhabi at UFC 308, opens our rating. From the first seconds, the meat grinder began in the octagon. Already in the opening round, Oral by missed several heavy punches, which almost completely closed his right eye. During the break, a doctor appeared in the octagon, who examined Nikitbek and still allowed the fighter from Kyrgyzstan to continue the meeting. In the second segment, which also took place almost exclusively in the rack, the Pole had a cut in the area of his right eye, which was bleeding heavily and clearly bothered him. The third round turned out to be the most spectacular and bloody. Matt knocked Oral by down with a punch to the chin and then tried to finish him off. But in the end, the Pole could not reach the finish line, having spent the entire gas tank. At the end of the fight, Oral by already seized the initiative and began to score the opponent. Rebecki miraculously survived until the final siren. Following the results of 3 rounds of extremely dramatic combat statistics from Stats Fight, thrown strikes, Oral by 132, Rebecki 151. Landed strikes, Oral by 65, Rebecki 69. Successful takedowns, Oral by 1, Rebecki 2. Percentage of control in the ground, Oral by 43, Rebecki 57. Percentage of control in the clinch, Oral by 55, Rebecki 45. Performance ratings from Stats Fight Performance, Oral by 7.1, Rebecki 8.2. 4th place, Islam Makhachev, Dustin Poirier UFC 302. On the 4th line of the top is the fight between the lightweight champion Islam Makhachev from Russia and the American Dustin Poirier. They fought on June 2 in Newark at UFC 302. Before the fight, it seemed that Makhachev would roll over the veteran and strangle him in the opening rounds. At first, the Russian really dominated his opponent. Makhachev completely took the first segment for himself. During one of the episodes, the Dagestani even tried to strangle his opponent, but Poirier managed to defend himself. In the second round, Islam tried to build on the success. He tried to make a transfer several times, but Dustin defended himself well and missed a takedown only 10 seconds before the siren. The third round was held on the ground. In the first minute, Makhachev made a successful pass to the legs and took Poirier's back. After moving to full mount, Islam decided to go to the elbow lever, but Poirier got out. The last minute was spent in the rack, where Poirier was a little more precise. Most of the 4th round was also spent on his feet. The guys gave out cool exchanges. Poirier looked more powerful, but the Russian beat him more accurately. At the same time, the second half of the 5-minute session was held on the ground, where Makhachev smashed Poirier's face from behind. I must say that 2 of the 3 judges who served the fight gave the score to 2-2 after 4 rounds, and only one recorded a 3-1 victory for Makhachev in rounds. It could swing in any direction, especially considering that they fought in the USA, the homeland of the diamond. However, Islam still showed character, deciding not to bring the case to a verdict. In the last segment, Makhachev made a spectacular takedown and caught Poirier on a choke, forcing the American to capitulate in front of his audience. Combat statistics from Stats Fight. Thrown strikes, Makhachev 160, Poirier 144. Landed strikes, Makhachev 79, Poirier 48. Successful takedowns, Makhachev 3, Poirier 0. Percentage of control in the ground, Makhachev 97, Poirier 3. Percentage of control in the clinch, Makhachev 87, Poirier 13. Performance ratings from Stats Fight Performance, Makhachev 8.9, Poirier 6.6. 3rd place, Alex Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria UFC 298. The top 3 of our ranking opens the featherweight title fight between Australian Alexander Volkanovski and Spaniard Ilia Topuria. The fight took place on February 18 in Anaheim. Volkanovski was the undisputed king of the division at that time. He was given an undefeated prospect in the person of Topuria as a rival. Before the fight, it seemed to many that the Wolf was able to easily declassify the Matador due to his experience and fighting IQ. That's exactly what happened in the first round. Topuria was visibly nervous. Volkanovski delivered punches more often, worked more actively. Elijah could not find a good distance to approach and strike. Volkanovski knew when to dodge the Spaniard's punch. But in the second round there was a sensation. Topuria has increased in aggression and power. And a minute and a half before the break, Elijah got closer in another attack and landed a powerful right hook that sent Volkanovski into a deep knockout. The Matador's finish became the main highlight of the tournament and one of the main highlights of the year in the world of MMA. And such a spectacular victory in the duel, where Elijah made a comeback, deserves a place in our top combat statistics from Stats Fight. Thrown strikes, Volkanovski, 96, Topuria, 79. Landed strikes, Volkanovski, 41, Topuria, 26. Successful takedowns, Volkanovski, 0, Topuria, 0. Percentage of control in the ground, Volkanovski, 0, Topuria, 0. Percentage of control in the clinch, Volkanovski, 0, Topuria, 100. Performance ratings from Stats Fight Performance, Volkanovski, 6.0, Topuria, 6.8. Second place, Benoit Saint-Denis, Dustin Poirier, UFC 299. Dustin Poirier is undoubtedly one of the most spectacular fighters in the UFC. It is not surprising that another match with his participation ended up in this ranking. This time we are talking about the American's fight with Frenchman Benoit Saint-Denis, which took place on March 10th in Miami at the 299th UFC number event. Saint-Denis was listed as a big favorite paired with Poirier. The Frenchman was on a winning streak, while Dustin went out to fight after being knocked out by Justin Gaethje. And Benoit, from the first seconds, began to justify the pre-match layouts by making a pass to the legs. The Frenchman escaped from the guillotine and captured the Americans back in a clinch. Diamond managed to get out, but Benoit continued to work powerfully in the distance, connecting his knees and elbows in the clinch. Poirier tried to restrain the Frenchman and sometimes simply overlap. The end of the first round was a struggle. Benoit took Dustin's back and threatened with a submission. However, the Diamond withstood the onslaught of the enemy. The second round began with a crushing uppercut from Poirier. Next, Saint-Denis made a pass to the legs, but again fell for the guillotine. The Frenchman came out of an uncomfortable position for himself and began to work from above in the ground and pound. Poirier, catching his second wind, stood up from under his opponent. Saint-Denis became noticeably sour and began to breathe. And the more experienced American took advantage of it. He walked powerfully through Saint-Denis, who, after the first knockdown, easily got up and climbed to his feet. A few seconds later, Poirier got out of the grip and punched a deuce. Saint-Denis flew into a death knockout, and Dustin recorded a strong-willed victory in the fight, which rightfully took the bonus for the best fight of the evening. Combat statistics from Stats Fight. Thrown strikes, Saint-Denis, 60, Poirier, 35. Landed strikes, Saint-Denis, 50, Poirier, 25. Successful takedowns, Saint-Denis, 3, Poirier, 0. Percentage of control in the ground, Saint-Denis, 99, Poirier, 1. Percentage of control in the clinch, Saint-Denis, 73, Poirier, 27. Performance ratings from Stats Fight Performance, Saint-Denis, 7.7, Poirier, 7.8. First place, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, UFC 300. Without a doubt, the first place goes to the fight for the vacant belt of the main scoundrel BMF between Americans Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. Their fight took place on April 14th at the UFC 300 tournament, and throughout the fight, the guys were figuring things out in the rack. It was a great slaughter of elite drummers. Max was clearly hitting more accurately and more powerfully than his opponent, although he was not given a chance in a duel against a natural lightweight, recalling his previous unsuccessful weight gain. Holloway interrupted Gaethje at a distance, causing huge damage to him. Justin often stagnated and was close to early defeat several times. At the last minute of the fight, the guys made a hard exchange. It was a chance for Justin to pick up the battle at the very end, making an epic finish. But there was no fairy tale Gaethje. On the contrary, he fell into a trap. A second before the end of the meeting, Holloway sent Justin into a deep knockout with a right side kick. An amazing denouement at the UFC anniversary event. Before that, it seemed that we were destined to see such a denouement only in the cinema. Combat statistics from Stats Fight. Thrown strikes, Holloway, 268, Geethja, 202. Landed strikes, Holloway, 153, Geethja, 121. Successful takedowns, Holloway, 0, Geethja, 0. Percentage of control in the ground, Holloway, 0, Geethja, 0. Percentage of control in the clinch, Holloway, 0, Geethja, 0. Performance ratings from Stats Fight Performance, Holloway, 8.8, Geethja, 7.2. If you like this review, then put a like. You can view statistics and analytics of other UFC, PFL, Bellator and other MMA fights in our Stats Fight MMA picks and score app available.